Thank you, everybody, for joining this evening. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Spring Virtual Open House for the online Master of Arts in Economics program offered by George Mason University. Again, my name's Heather Bryant. I'm an admissions representative for the online graduate programs offered by Mason. I'm here as a resource to give information, answer questions, and walk you through the admissions process if you do decide to move forward with an application. This event is set up so that we will answer questions at the end. So feel free to put any questions you have throughout the presentation into the chat, and we will address them later on in the evening. And please don't be shy, ask as many questions as you'd like. You can use the Q&A feature or the chat feature. I will be checking both of those. So please put any questions you have in there. Okay, so tonight we are joined by Dr. Coyne, who will be sharing more information about the program. And Dr. Coyne will talk about the Masonomics tradition, the value of economics. Dr. Coyne will also share some curriculum details, talk about the faculty and the online classroom as well. And then we'll discuss admissions requirements, and we will have time to answer all of your questions after that. Here's an overview of the instructions for the chat and the questions. So just take a look at this. In the controls at the bottom window, you can click the chat to type your message, and you can also select who you are sending it to as well. You can also click the Q&A in your webinar controls to gain access to see the Q&A window, and you can put your question there if you'd like as well. I'll be checking both throughout the evening. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Coyne.
Well, thank you very much, Heather. I appreciate that and the introduction. And let me second Heather in thanking all of you for taking time out of your schedule to spend a little bit of time with us and to discuss the online MA program in economics. My name is Chris Coyne. I am a professor in the Department of Economics. I am the online MA director, so I oversee the online program that we are discussing this evening. And I'm also an alumni of the program. I did my master's and my PhD in economics here at George Mason. I started in 2001 and finished in 2005. I did them jointly, my master's right into my PhD. And so I know the program very well, both as a student, and then after I graduated in 2005, I left the Virginia area and had two other academic jobs before returning back to Mason in 2010 as a member of the faculty, and I've been here ever since as part of the department and as part of the faculty that run and participate in our graduate programs. And so it's truly a pleasure to discuss this with you. I love George Mason and I love the Department of Economics, as you can tell, given my own background. And so what I'd like to do next, Heather, if you don't mind advancing the slide, before I get to the logistics of the program, I want to say a few words about the unique tradition that is our department and that defines our department. And that tradition, we call it Masonomics here, is really three-pronged. And part of the influence on the Department of Economics and the way we structure our program comes from the Nobel laureate economist F.A. Hayek, who won the Nobel Prize in 1974. He is oftentimes associated with what's called market process economics or Austrian economics. And so he is one aspect of our program. Another influence on our program is an economist by the name of James Buchanan. He won the Nobel Prize in 1986. He was a faculty member here at George Mason when he won the award, and he won the Nobel Prize for his work in the field of public economics and public choice, which is the economic analysis of politics and political institutions. And so you can see a theme here, which is I'm highlighting Nobel Prize winners that have been both influential and associated with our programs in various ways. And then the third person I just want to highlight briefly is Vernon Smith. Vernon Smith won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2002, again, while he was a faculty member here at George Mason. And he is one of the founding fathers of the field of experimental economics. And so our tradition here is quite rich in terms of having kind of path-breaking, innovative scholars who have influenced our department and the history of our department, but also how we teach and structure our program of economics. And I wanted to begin with this, both to give you that tradition, because if you do end up entering our program, you will be part of that tradition, and also to put it in the back of your mind, because when we move to the structure of classes and the electives that are offered in a few slides, you're going to see some of those fields I just mentioned come up again, and I'll reference them and connect back. But I wanted to give you that anchor, both as a point of historical interest, but also to foreshadow some of the things we'll be talking about when we get to the structure of the program and the courses that we offer. Heather, please. So what do we do as a department? Well, we're an economics department, and we do economics, and our programs are designed to teach students at the undergraduate and graduate levels economics. But the way we view economics is having a multifaceted purpose in the world. And part of that is teaching, where we as faculty members engage in economic instruction to empower our students at all different levels to become effective economists in the traditions that I just mentioned to you. In addition to that, my colleagues and I are focused on producing original economic scholarship in a whole host of different areas, which we can talk about later on if it interests you. We're also very motivated in terms of communication. And so many of my colleagues have, for instance, various channels through which they communicate with the public, whether it's blogs. And so my colleagues, Tyler Cowan and Alex Tabarak, run Marginal Revolution, which is a blog, and I believe the most widely read economics blog in the world. Other my colleagues are quite active in terms of social media and writing op-ed columns and going on various media programs to communicate their knowledge of economics, their scholarship to a broader audience. And so we take that quite seriously, that economics is a discipline, it's a social science, it's an academic discipline. And so we certainly focus on the scholarly aspect of it, but we also take quite seriously the importance of communicating economics and communicating oftentimes complex economic concepts in a manner that can be understood and digested by the general public, because my colleagues and I believe it's important for human well-being and for helping people understand the world and be informed both in their own lives, but also as members of a polity, of a political entity, as a citizen. And the other thing my colleagues do is engage in various policy analysis. And part of that is linked to their scholarship. Part of it is linked purely to the study of specific policies. And some of my colleagues, not all of them, but some of my colleagues are often involved in testifying on Capitol Hill in terms of giving feedback to policymakers. And so having a real world impact, if you will, in terms of leveraging their economic skills and knowledge to inform policy discussions in a way that hopefully will help advance the interests of members of the polity. Heather, please. So let me say a little bit about the program and talk a little bit about the mundane aspects, but also important aspects, which are this. The master's program in economics is a 30 credit program. And the way it's broken down is there are 5 core classes. And by core classes, I mean that they're meant to both provide you with a core knowledge of economics, but also that everyone is required to take them. And so that's econometrics, micro theory 1, micro theory 2, macro theory, and math econ. And that's not the exact order you'll take them in. That's ordered by the course number. But everyone in the program has to take those core classes. So that's 5 classes, 3 credits each. That's half the degree, 15 credits. Everyone also has to take the capstone course at the end. That's the bottom line on this slide. The capstone course is a course that concludes the program and ties together everything that you've learned. And so that 3 credit course is a requirement as well. Then you have 4 classes left, because there's 10 classes total, 3 credits each, and we've already talked about 6, the 5 core classes and the capstone. So that leaves us 4 remaining classes. And there you have flexibility and you can choose among the electives that we offer. And so causal inference is a statistics class. And so if you are interested in developing and cultivating your statistical skills, you'll have an econometrics class as part of the core, but then you can take causal inference as an elective to hone those skills. We also offer a class in comparative economic systems, which focuses on institutions and issues of economic development. Experimental economics, which I mentioned earlier when I was talking about Vernon Smith, will introduce you to the idea of experimental economics, what is involved in designing and executing a basic experiment, and what the kind of cutting edge findings are in that field. Gender economics is the study of gender related issues from an economic perspective. And I should mention, although she is not associated with our department, the Nobel Prize winner in economics this year that was just announced, I believe 2 days ago, is named Claudia Goldin. She is a professor of economics at Harvard. And what she is known for is her work in economic history as it pertains to women in the labor force. And so she did groundbreaking work in this field of what some people call gender economics. And when you take that elective, if you choose to take it, you'll be exposed to her work as well as the work of others. Market process theory, that links back to F.A. Hayek that I talked about earlier. So this class gives you in-depth exposure to market process theory and Austrian economics. And the final elective that we offer is public economics, public choice. And that links back to James Buchanan that we talked about earlier. And so you can see that connection to Hayek, Buchanan, and Vernon Smith in the courses that we offer, in addition to offering you the opportunity to focus on things like developing your statistical capabilities for those of you who are interested in doing that. So 30 credits total. There's flexibility in terms of those electives and what you want to take. The entire structure of the class, of each class is online. So this is an online program from start to finish. We also offer a on-the-ground program, but they are distinct programs. And so once you enter one program or the other, you remain in that track for the entire duration of your program of study, meaning that you can't jump back and forth between the online and the online and on the ground. And that's for purposes of accreditation and different requirements in each program, not in terms of the total number of courses, but the on-the-ground students have to take an exam rather than the capstone. The online degree, although it's a unique degree, it is a fully accredited a master's program at George Mason University. You receive a diploma when you are done with all the rights and privileges of any other George Mason graduate. So the same as the on-the-ground program or any other master's program in terms of the rights and privileges associated with that degree. So there's no difference between the online program and the on-the-ground programs on that margin. You have access as a George Mason student to the services that are offered by George Mason. And so although most of our students are remote, in fact, that's why they choose the program, because it gives them the flexibility of being remote and having more control over their schedule because of the online asynchronous structure of the class. The nature of it is that you have access to things like career services, which can be used remotely. You can access the GMU library. And even if you're not in person, George Mason University is what's called an R1 university, meaning a research tier 1 university, meaning it's research oriented. And so the library is a very state of the art library system. And so the access to things now online is truly excellent. I can get access to almost everything I want. I'm sitting in Virginia, a couple miles from campus, but I rarely, if ever, go to the library in person. Most of the things that I want to read, to access in terms of journal articles for my own interest or for my own research, for my own teaching, I can access remotely, and you will be able to do the same. And so you will be a George Mason University patriot, a student here at George Mason, with all the rights and privileges that are associated with that. And so I wanted to mention that because one of the common questions I get is, well, since this is an online program and I'm remote, does that mean I'm somehow different than the students that are there in person? And really, the only difference is that you're not here in person. And so, to the extent you'd want to do certain things in person on campus, you obviously can't do those unless you come and visit, which you're welcome to do, of course. But everything else is available to you. Heather, please. So I mentioned faculty before, and I just wanted to highlight a couple things that I already mentioned and put some names to some of the courses that I just mentioned. And so let's start in the upper left. That's the Marginal Revolution blog I mentioned. This is my colleagues Tyler Cowan and Alex Tabrak run this. And if you haven't looked at this before, and some of you might be regular readers like I am, I highly recommend you do it. Whether you end up joining our program or not, it's free, it's updated daily, and it's a great way to learn economics, to keep up to date with current events, and to really refine yourself as an economic thinker. And so it's a great resource. If we move down then to the bottom picture, that small little picture that's on the certificate of needs photo is my colleague Thomas Stratman. And this is a great example of what I was saying earlier about the overlap between scholarship and policy. And so the reason I chose this image is this is a policy piece that Thomas Stratman did, and he testified then before the Georgia House of Representatives. And if you don't know what a certificate of need law is, it relates to the healthcare system. And it's a state level law, so it varies across states in the United States. And it goes something like this, where there's certificate of need laws, in order to open a new medical facility, you need approval from a board, a certificate of need. And this restricts entry into the healthcare industry. And what Thomas Stratman found in his work is that in restricting entry, it also restricts access for people. And so that's why he was talking in front of the Georgia House of Representatives related to the Rural Development Council, because when you move out into more rural areas, oftentimes there's less access to healthcare facilities. And then if you're doing things that are restricting access to building new facilities, it restricts people's ability to access those facilities even more because there's fewer of them. And so this provides a really concrete example of how straightforward economics combined with policy, combined with scholarship, can really influence people's well-being. Because of course, as we all know, healthcare and access to healthcare is crucial for human well-being. And so Thomas, who by the way developed two classes for the online program, he developed the public choice class and the causal inference class, is a key actor in that policy space. And then if you look to the right, this is the cover of a book that was co-authored by my colleague Peter Boettke on public governance, or what some people would call public administration. And this deals with the overlap of economics and public policy. And I mention it because it really highlights, again, how my colleagues are focused not just on one of those boxes I put up earlier, but on the interplay between many of them. Here, Pete's engaged in a work of scholarship, studying public administration and the limits and possibilities of public administration. And of course, public administration feeds directly into policy and what type of policies are adopted, but most importantly, the effectiveness of those policies in meeting the needs and wants of members of the polity. And that's what Pete and his co-authors in this book are looking at. And I should mention that Pete was responsible for designing the comparative institutional class that I mentioned earlier. And so if you end up taking that elective, you'll be exposed to some of his work on that topic. Heather, please. One of the most common questions I get, and rightfully so, until I was involved in designing this program, I didn't know how online education really looked either. But a lot of people want to know, how does this look? How does this work? So you gave us this list of classes, but what's the deal here? And I want to give you a little flavor of how it looks with a few screenshots, but also say a few words about this in order to hopefully answer this question or to begin to answer it. And then I'll gladly do my best to respond to any other questions you might have in a few moments when we finish up. So the first two top images, that's me on the left, and the spontaneous order image is part of my class. I designed the market process class, and that's where those images are taken from. And then the bottom two, the photo on the bottom right, and then the image with round one, these are images taken from the gender economics class that my colleague Joanna Mullerstrom designed, and that's her in the bottom photo. And so the way these classes are structured is this: they are fully online, so they're virtual, and they are designed to be asynchronous classes. And so what I mean by asynchronous here is that most of us who went through traditional education, you went to college, or if you have another master's degree, and you had a class schedule, and your class would meet Tuesday and Thursday from 11:30 to 12:30 or 1, or in the evening. And you would show up there in person. That would be your class time, and it would be very structured in that way. The way these classes work is that there's weekly modules. And so each class is 8 weeks. So there's 8 modules, and there's deliverables each week. And those deliverables can range from readings to written assignments to group work to quizzes or exams. It depends on the specifics of the class. But within that, it's asynchronous, meaning that you're not meeting at a certain time in a certain week where you have to show up and be there. The material is accessed through an online interface, Blackboard, and that's where you access the material and interface with your professor. Now, some of the classes incorporate optional synchronous sessions. And so they might have a welcome session at the beginning over Zoom. They might have a check-in at various points throughout the semester, the session, the 8-week session that allows you to attend if you want and to interact with the professor and with other students. The structure of those and the frequency varies from class to class, and that's on purpose. It's on purpose because this program was designed for people who want flexibility in their schedule. And want flexibility in their educational program of study. And people typically highlight this aspect of it, both for selecting the program and one of the aspects of the program that they like. That is that they have that flexibility within each of these weeks, meaning you'll have deliverables due, but when you do it exactly is up to you within that week-long time period. And so if you have work obligations or travel obligations or family obligations, whatever other personal or professional commitments may arise, you have that built-in flexibility. But of course, there are professors in these classes. And so you will be able to reach out to your professor and interact with them over email or messages through Blackboard, or to set up a Zoom meeting with them if you are either struggling or have questions that you want to discuss. That option is there. But I do want to make clear the asynchronous structure of the program so that you have a very good feel for how the courses are structured, but also the program is structured. So as you're thinking through what's a good fit for you, you can take that into account. Some people prefer the on-the-ground type approach where they're in the classroom and they get that interaction. Others don't because of obligations that they have, whether they are geographic constraints or other personal and professional constraints. And so that flexibility is there. In terms of the structure of each class, it varies. But I can speak, for instance, to my market process class since I designed it. And it's a mix of videos. It's a mix of material that you read and interact with at your own pace. There's discussion forums amongst the entire class so that you interact with your fellow colleagues who are in the class. And there's various writing assignments that are meant to assess and allow you to reflect upon the material and interact with the professor. I also designed the Micro 1 theory class, the first micro class you take. And that's a mix of lectures that are available online and various assessments, quizzes, exams, discussion forums, and opportunities to reinforce the material that you'll be learning through the class. And so that's a very general overview of kind of the interactive aspect of it, but hopefully it gives you some kind of feel for the overall structure and a few examples from a couple of the classes. Uh, Heather, next slide, please. So this is, and Heather, feel free to jump in if you want, but this is an overview of the application process, and I'll let Heather say more if she wants. But before I do so, let me just say one thing about these bullet points at the bottom before turning it over. And it's one of the common questions I get, which is, well, do I need to have a economics undergraduate degree in order to get in the program? And the answer is no. And then people say, well, do I need to take certain classes and have a formal transcript? And again, the answer is no. But at the same time, people say, well, what background knowledge do I need? What will benefit me? And while we don't have requirements, these are our suggested minimums. And so a working knowledge of intermediate micro and intermediate macro, and then at least one semester of calculus and statistics. And again, where you get that background knowledge, whether it's in a class, whether it's self-study through some online program, again, it doesn't have to be for credit, is up to you. But those are kind of the minimum suggested background requirements as you're thinking through this. And if you have more questions about that, I'll gladly answer them after Heather's done saying a few words. Please.
Okay. Can you can hear me, Dr. Coyne? Okay,
Yes.
great. All right. So first, you do need to have a bachelor's degree in order to apply to the program. As Dr. Coyne mentioned, there aren't any required prerequisites that you must have in order to apply. The ones that he just mentioned are very helpful to have, but you do need to have a bachelor's degree. In order to apply to the program, you need to submit your transcripts and your resume. Typically, a decision can be made based on just unofficial transcripts. We would need the officials if you're accepted, but you can submit your unofficial transcripts through the application portal. And you do need 2 letters of recommendation. Now, they don't need to be a traditionally written letter of recommendation. The application system has a recommendation questionnaire that your recommenders will fill out. So basically, you add their contact information to the application portal, and then they get a notification to fill out that questionnaire for you. So that's how that works. It should only take them a few minutes to do, which is great. That allows them to complete it very quickly, helps to move your application forward faster, but that's how that works. And you also need to submit a statement of purpose as well. All of that can be submitted right through the application portal. And if you have any questions about that, you can let me know in the Q&A as well. Does that pretty much cover it, Dr. Coyne?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All
So
right.
maybe at this point we can turn it over and open it up for any questions that participants might have related to really anything at all. I'll do my best to answer questions as will Heather. And if there's anything we can't answer, we'll certainly let you know. So the purpose here is to give you as much information as possible to empower you to make the right decision for you.
Okay. All right. So there is one question that came through the chat that says, do you accept the Duolingo English test to meet the English proficiency requirement? So that one I could answer if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the Duolingo English proficiency test, from my understanding, this upcoming spring semester, spring 2024, is the last semester start date that George Mason is accepting that. So I do believe that you can submit that for this upcoming start date, but that would be the last one that they would be accepting that for. They also accept the TOEFL, and there are a few other options available as well. If you have other questions about the English proficiency exam, please feel free to reach out to us. The contact information is on the screen that you can see right now. You can call us 703-348-5006. You can email us at online2@gmu.edu. You can also reach us at masononline.gmu.edu as well. But please feel free to reach out with more questions about that. Let's see. There are a few other questions coming through as well. And I love that Olivia asked this because I had some folks asking the same question earlier too. Can you talk about some of the capstone projects that students have completed in the past?
Oh, certainly. Thank you for that. That is a great question. So thank you for raising it. So the capstone course, I mentioned earlier, it's the culminating course of the program, the last course you'll take. And there's a presentation part and there's a replication part where you are responsible for picking a piece of scholarship that has been done already and expanding upon it. So replicating what's been done, incorporating new data if you want to, and I'll give you an example of that in a moment to be more specific and answer your question, in order to allow you to execute a project unto yourself. And the neat part is, from my perspective, you can pick whatever you want. And so let me give you two examples that I like to point to because I really think they highlight this flexibility. And so we had one student who worked on, and I'm not going to name names, he worked on a prison rehabilitation program. So his interests lied in the study of prisons and prisoners and recidivism. That is returning to prison or being rehabilitated so that you are a contributing member to society. And so, in order to pursue his interests, what he did was he found a paper that had been published in a journal called the Review of Economics and Statistics. And the title of that paper is, or was, pardon me, Do Better Prisons Reduce Recidivism? And you can see both sides of it. On the one hand, you could say, well, better prisons, meaning better facilities, more updated facilities, provide prisoners with an environment that gives them more opportunities because of the better facilities and opportunities within those better facilities to develop skills and a mindset that allows them to be contributing members of society and lower the likelihood that they'll return to prison. On the flip side, some people argue that keeping prisons terrible is a better way to keep people out of prison. The argument goes something like this. Well, if you go to prison and it's really terrible, you're not going to want to come back. And so you'll stay out of prison. And so what this student did is he took this paper that these prior authors had done, he updated it, he found new data, and he also reached out to the authors and corresponded with them throughout the process, which was really neat. And what he found was that investments in newer prison facilities reduce the likelihood that people in prison return to prison once they got out. And so that's one example where we had a student who chose a project based on their own interests and passions and was able to link it up with things they were doing outside of school. Let me give you one other example, which again, I think nicely highlights the flexibility, but also opportunity to pursue your passions and interdisciplinary work. We had another student who was very much into issues of international relations and international affairs. So they were pursuing a master's in economics, but this student was interested in these international topics. And what they chose to do is they picked a paper from the Journal of Conflict Resolution. It's called Conflict and Trade. And what the paper looked at, the original paper, was the relationship between trade between nation states or people within nation states and the likelihood of conflict. And again, there's different views on this. One view is that trade can lead to conflict because people want to, one side wants to get more of a kind of rents for their people. So it can create a situation between nation states where there's conflict, or in situations where there are certain resources being traded, it can lead to conflict. The flip side is that some people argue that trade reduces conflict because it creates peaceful relationships between people. In any case, what this student did was took this paper, which I believe was originally published like in 1980, so several decades ago, and they replicated it. They collected data up through, I forgot the exact year, but maybe it was like 2015. And they reran the regressions. And if I remember correctly, he found that trade between nation states reduced the likelihood of conflict between them. And so that's another example where you have someone that says, well, look, I'm really interested in this issue of international affairs. And so I'm going to use this opportunity to explore those questions. And those are just two examples, but I think they nicely touch upon the type of opportunities you would have to pursue whatever it is that you're interested in. So that there's broad guidelines to carrying out that final project, but within it, you have a lot of flexibility to choose the direction and the topic and the approach you want to take. So thank you again for the question.
Yes, thank you. I have a follow-up question for the capstone as well. So, I earlier you mentioned something about the exam that students on campus take. So, I just was wondering if you could clarify: do students in the online program also need to take the exam? Do they do the project in lieu of the exam? Is there like a traditional thesis they could write instead of the project, or do all students do the project? Could you just clarify that point?
Certainly. Thank you for asking because this is an important point. So I appreciate it. So let me start by saying you do not, for you being the people interested in the online, and if you enroll in the online, you do not take the exam. And so the on the ground people take the same exact core classes as you. Not in the same class as you, but the same stuff on the ground, the same electives options as well as some others that are on the ground. Those are their what they do, but they don't take a capstone. They have to sit for an exam, and that exam is 2 to 3 hours, and it's a an exam that covers the material in the core, micro, and macro class, and they have to pass it in order to get their master's degree. That's on the ground. The online only does the capstone, and you do not have to worry about taking that cumulative exam. You can't take it, in fact, if you're in the online program. This is why we keep them separate. They can't do the on the ground people can't do the capstone for the same reason. And so that's that aspect of it. There's no thesis option. The project is the culminating project, and again, it's 8 weeks. So you got to get moving along and be focused. And at that point in your program of study, you'll have an idea what interests you, and because you'll have been in the program for a while, so it's certainly doable. But that's the structure of that class. So it's an opportunity for you to draw upon all the stuff you learned in your prior classes, because you can pull that in to the capstone course, but also to pursue that kind of topic that interests you a lot.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that. We have a few other questions coming in. One of them is for international applicants with 5 years of working experience in the States, is there any way to waive the English proficiency test score? I can answer that one. The answer to that is no. There are no, only way that you can waive the English proficiency test score is if you let's say that you did get a bachelor's degree outside the US, but you already hold a master's degree in another area, and you got that master's degree in the US, then you could waive the proficiency test. If your highest degree was earned in the United States, you don't have to take it. The other way is if you earned your previous degree from a country that's on the exam waiver list. There is a list of countries that George Mason does not require you to take the test if you got your degree from that country. So those are the only two ways currently that you can waive that exam. If you have any other questions about that, please feel free to reach out to admissions at the contact information on your screen right now. So there's a few other questions coming in. What are the courses that follow the Hayek tradition?
So very good question. Thank you. And the only course that is exclusively dedicated to that's the market process theory class. So that class is built around those ideas. That's the entire course. That said, you will also be exposed to some of those ideas in the Micro 1 class, again, which I designed, so I know it quite well. But it's not the focus of that class. And so the focus of that class is traditional microeconomic theory. But there is some discussion of Hayek as it pertains to, for instance, to the role of prices and competition as well. And so while there'll be exposure in that Micro 1 class, it's not the focal point of that. It is the focal point of the market process class. And then the other class I'll mention is my colleague Pete Betke designed that comparative institutions class I mentioned. And there is Hayek and Mises in there as well on the comparative economics class. So if for the students that come into the program who tell me that they are interested in these ideas, and that's part of what they want to focus on, my response is, well, look, in the Micro 1 course, you'll get a little bit, but it's really not the main part. But what you'll want to think about for your electives is market process and comparative economic systems as two of your electives, because you'll be exposed to those ideas in greater detail in there and have a chance to engage with them and discuss them. But thank you for that question. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, does the program strike a balance between theory and policy?
Um, yes, and especially if you wanted to. And what I mean by that is, it depends on which classes you end up taking. And so, the core classes are going to be theory heavy. That's economics in general. And so that, I mean, if you just look at the titles, it's micro theory one, micro theory two, macro theory. So they're theory classes, and the idea is that you have to learn kind of the apparatus or infrastructure or framework and models that economists use in order to think. Those are conceptual frameworks, and so that's the purpose of those classes. And from that perspective, our core classes are similar to core classes in every other MA program in terms of that focus. But then when you move to the realm of electives and you look at things like comparative economic systems, that's going to focus on topics like economic development, and different economic systems and how they relate to human well-being. So there's going to be an element in there related to the type of things you're asking. You think about public economics and public choice. Public economics is the economics of the public sector. That's what that field is. As I mentioned earlier, public choice as a field is the application of economics to the study of politics. And so in that type of course, there's going to be things directly related to the political process, which of course influence policy. And so those are just a couple examples of the type of interaction you'll get with those things. And then just to provide one more, gender economics, part of that course deals with policies, but also things like social norms as it pertains to gender and things along those lines, and how that influences things like labor markets for different genders and so on. And so you can see again how that can relate to policy or at least policy related issues. But thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. Someone else is asking if all the courses are available every semester.
All okay. So the great question. So the way you have to think about it, which took me a little bit to get my head around. So I don't know about you. It depends where you went to school. At GMU and my own undergraduate and graduate education were based on a traditional semester system, so 14 to 15 weeks. The master's online is 8 weeks, as I mentioned, and they're called sessions. So in the fall, there's two sessions. In the spring, there's two sessions. In the summer, there's two sessions. And so not every course is offered every session, but every course is offered every two sessions, which is the equivalent of a semester, a 14 or 16-week semester, really. The only exception to that is if no one enrolls in a class or too few students. So I think our cutoff is like 3 or 4 students minimum to run a class. And we have had a couple instances where we've had to cancel a class because of that. It's not the norm. It's not the norm. But that would be the one exception. And so that's why it's a good question. So if let's say, two people sign up for a market process theory class, it's going to get canceled. And obviously we reach out to the students and help them pick from the other electives that are offered. But all the classes are on the books to be offered at least once every two sessions. So once every fall, once every spring, once every summer.
Okay, thank you. Someone else is asking, how many courses do online students have to take each term? And is the pace and workload of the program adequate for someone who works full time?
Great question. So let me try to answer that and with caveats, because I certainly the reason I say with caveats is not to be evasive, but because obviously this depends a lot on the person and your situation. So it's hard for me to give a universal answer that will apply to everyone. And so most students take one course per session. All right. And it flows quite nicely that way. And the way the program is structured, when I went through the core classes, Heather, do you mind flipping back to the accredited curriculum slide? It's slide number 6 or 7, that had the course listing on it for a moment.
This one
Right
right
here.
here?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Remember when I was going through this earlier, I said that's not the order that you'll take them. So let me just walk through a hypothetical program of study to be a little more concrete. Our first class is math econ. And the reason we do math econ first is to make sure students have those foundations down. So econ 630 comes first. Usually a student will take just that class, 8 weeks. Then they'll move into 611, which is micro theory one. And that course has actually very little math in it. It's straight up microeconomic theory. And the purpose is now you've done the math and you have the math concepts down. Now you're doing micro one and you're get those micro concepts down. Then from 611, you move into 612 and it combines the two. So 612 is combining economic concepts you saw in 611 with some of the math concepts you saw in 630 to combine the two into one. And then you're moving along one course a session, so two every semester. So to answer your question, is it are you capable of doing this while you're working? Part of it depends on your job, but yes, it is designed so that you can do it. It's a lot of work. I mean, if you have a full-time job and you're taking one class, you're going to have to fit it in. And I've talked to students who have graduated from our program, pardon me, because I like to just hear about their experience and what worked and what didn't work. And it really varies greatly. So some of them, given their schedule, because a lot of people have families too, in addition to their job or other personal commitments, some set aside one day a week where they'd say on Tuesdays, or some it was Saturdays, if depending on their job, they would say, this is my day, I'm going to dedicate to this class. And they would dedicate almost a full 6 to 8 hours that day to the class, and that would be their one day. Others would spread it out. Some would say, well, I just couldn't do one full day. I couldn't get the time off from work, or, in the weekend I had family commitments, so I couldn't sit there for 6 to 8 hours. So I had to do 2 hours, 3 nights a week, or perhaps in the morning. And so that's how they did it. I will say this, and again, there's no rule against it, but I'll say it because it's important. I would not suggest taking two classes a session. Some people do it. Some people are successful doing it. Others are not. It is very hard to take two classes per session if you're working. I think at that point it gets overwhelming for most people. It certainly would be overwhelming for me if I was a student in the program. And so some students will listen to that advice and say, I hear you, but I want to do this anyway to get through the program faster. And my own view on this is I've tried to explain to you, I'm a big fan of live and let live, and people need to decide what's best for them. So you can do that, but I caution you to think carefully if any of you are in the position of potentially doing that. It's not that it never can work out or that you're necessarily not going to succeed, but it's a lot. It's a lot to take on. So that's kind of the way I think about that. And some students struggle early on adjusting, and then they have to adjust. So they have to adjust their schedule. It's a minority of students, but they realize that what they had in mind when they joined, it's more work than they thought given their work schedule. And so they have to figure out how to adjust. And that can come from the way they adjust their personal schedule, meaning their family schedule, or sometimes I've talked to students who work out different arrangements with their employer. And again, that depends on the employer. But again, they might come in, they might get, a couple hours of time during a morning during the week where their employer says, you can focus on your classwork, whether it's in their office or at home. Others are able to move their schedule around so that they can focus half a day or a full day on the class per week. And so it really varies from that standpoint.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, does the macroeconomic theory course focus on a particular school of thought? If so, which one?
The answer is no, it does not focus on a particular school of thought. Instead, the purpose is to give you an overview of the major schools of thought that are associated with macroeconomics. It's a very mainstream standard macroeconomics course that is going to introduce you to the main schools of thought. And so that's the way it is designed. It's not focused on one particular topic or area or school of thought, but rather broad-based to give you exposure to all of them, or as many as possible within the time frame.
Okay, thank you. Someone else is asking if you have information about how many folks are currently enrolled in the program.
I do. There are, I know exactly actually, because I just was looking at the numbers the other day. There are, I believe, 52 students That is students at all different points in their program of study. So that's not students who are just entering, that's throughout their program of study. There are, I believe, 52 students that are currently enrolled in the master's online program. And so some of them are just starting. Um, Others are moving along further along in their program of study.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have another question. How intense is the math component in the program, and what advice do you have for prospective students who might be a little concerned about the math in the program?
Yeah. Important question. So thank you, and one that I often get. And so, uh, uh, first of all, the math that you are expected to know is, as I mentioned, it is exposure to at least some calculus. You should have exposure and comfort level with exposure to basic algebra, and then anything above that, of course, will make it easier for you. That said, our program is not, as far as economics programs go, I should say, our program is not super math intensive, but there's also not zero math. Obviously, there's a math econ class. And so here's what I would say to you. I would say this. When it comes to math, my kind of advice to people is to, as a baseline, the get your hands on two books, and I'll mention them here. And if for some reason you can't remember or you forget to jot them down, you can always email me too. One of them, there's a series of books called Sham's Outline. You spell it SCHAUM, SCHAUM, Sham's Outlines. They're kind of these overview books, and what they have one called Introduction to Mathematical Economics. The author is someone named Edward Dowling, Dowling, and it's a good overview book of basic math econ. The second book I would mention is called Fundamentals of Mathematical Economics, and it's by Alfred Chang. So Alpha, Alpha is the first name, Chiang is the second name. That's the author's name, Fundamentals of Math Econ, or Mathematical Economics. And those are the two books that you actually use in the first math econ course. And so if you get your hands on those and you look through them, that will give you a sense of kind of the basics. The other thing I want to suggest, and Heather, I don't know if you have access to this. If not, people should feel free to email me.
Okay.
I put together because this was such a common question I was getting. I put together a 2-page Word document called Suggested Background for the Core Classes. And what I did was I asked each instructor who teaches the classes, I said, and design the classes, I said, can you tell me what basic kind of background concepts students should have coming into your class as it relates to math and statistics? Because this question that I'm getting is one of the most common. And I put together this 2-page Word document that is bullet points of the main topics for each of the different core classes. And so if you contact us, we can get you that, and I'll happily share it with you. And it will give you, it's not every single concept you'll need to know, but it's the main ones. And then you can kind of look through them and say, do I feel comfortable with this? Is this the kind of stuff that I have background knowledge on? And then you might say to yourself, well, I do, but there's some gaps. Then you can fill those. If you say, I have no clue about any of this, then you might need to take a math or statistics course prior to joining the program, because, I and my colleagues and Heather, all of us want you to succeed. We don't want you to come into the program and not succeed in accomplishing your goals. And so we certainly want to make sure that you feel comfortable with this. And then once you get through the core classes and complete those, the electives, it's a mix. And so, for instance, in the market process theory class, there's no math. In the comparative class, there's no math. In causal inference and experimental economics, there's going to be some math in there, and statistics. I mean, that's just the nature of those classes. And so, depending on your interest, your skill set, what skills you want to develop, you can customize the program of study in that way.
Thank you. And I do believe we do have that resource. So, folks who have been working with me, there's a couple of you in here. If you would like that, or if you have more questions about the math, please feel free to reach out. The contact information here as well as reaching out to Dr. Coyne as he graciously offered just now too. All right, we have a few more minutes, so if anybody has any last minute questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. Um, Again, all the contact information on your screen if you'd like to apply to the program. If you'd like more information, please reach out to admissions. You can reach us at 703-348-5006. You can also email us online too at gmu.edu. You can also visit the website as well for more information, masononline.gmu.edu. And there's also a QR code here that you can scan for the application as well. Um, Looks like, let me see if there's any more questions. Don't see any other questions coming in just yet.
I can say one other thing
Yeah, go
if
ahead.
that's okay. You know,
Yeah, go ahead.
one of the other common questions I get, and so I'll answer just because I've been asked it so much, is kind of a profile of our students in terms of their careers and career trajectory. So this is a variant of saying, what can you do with this degree? And you know, the one thing I really like about economics, or one of the things I like about economics as a field of study, is you can do lots of different things with it because it's a way of thinking. It's an analytical toolkit you can apply to all different things. And so our student body, amongst those 50 some odd students that I mentioned, it is truly an amazingly diverse group of students in terms of their careers, in terms of their ages, in terms of their backgrounds and their interests. And so, just to give you a sampling, we have had students in our program who are high school teachers. So we've had students who enter the program because they either teach AP economics or want to teach AP economics and they want to learn economics. And so we've had several students who do that. We've had students who are in private industry. That private industry can vary from banking to consulting to being a financial analyst. To people looking to make some kind of career change. We've had and we have students who are in nonprofits who are interested in a whole host of different areas related to nonprofit, from higher ed to kind of aid and assistance domestically and internationally. And so we've had that. And we've also had students in government, both who are in government in Washington, D.C., but also who are in government in their various local government. And so, and I should say, a very small minority of our students are interested in pursuing a PhD in economics, but want to kind of strengthen their skill set before pursuing that. And that's a very small number, but we do have a few students who have that interest as well. And so it is truly a diverse group of students who historically have applied and enrolled in the program and who have all different career aspirations. In some cases, they want to stay in their career and advance. In others, they want to change their career. In still other cases, they want to move on to get either a further terminal degree in terms of a PhD. And so I just wanted to mention that because that's another question that people often ask me.
Great. Thank you so much. So there are no further questions coming in. So I think we're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much, Dr. Coyne, for sharing everything you have this evening. Thank you, everybody who's attended, for taking time out of your schedules. Thank you to the folks I've been working with personally as well. It's great to see you in here, and it's great to meet some new folks in the chat as well. But I think we're going to wrap it up there, and I hope everybody has a great evening. And please reach out to us if you have any other questions.